The morning sun painted golden streaks across the tall windows of the Hofburg mansion. It was a beautiful building in Vienna, with white walls and large rooms filled with expensive furniture. Inside the kitchen, Anna Kovacs moved quickly between the stove and the counter. Her hands were red from years of hard work. She had been cleaning houses since she was 16 years old. Now, at 38, she still worked 6 days a week for the Zimmerman family. Anna stopped for a moment and looked at the clock on the wall. It was 6 in the morning. She had already been working for an hour. The Zimmerman family would wake up soon and everything had to be perfect. Mr. Zimmerman was a very strict man. He owned 3 factories in Vienna and expected his house to run like one of his machines. Everything had to be exactly right, or he would get angry. Anna picked up her cleaning supplies and walked toward the music room. This was her favorite room in the whole mansion, even though she was only allowed to clean it. The room had dark wooden floors that shined like glass. Thick red curtains hung from the windows. But the most beautiful thing in the room was the piano. It was a Steinway grand piano, black and shining, sitting in the center of the room like a sleeping giant. Anna remembered the day the Zimmermans bought it. That was 5 years ago. Mrs. Zimmerman had been so excited. She said her daughter, Christine, would become a great piano player. They hired expensive teachers. They bought the best music books. But Christine never liked playing the piano. She complained every time she had to practice. After 2 years, she stopped completely. Now the beautiful piano just sat there collecting dust. Nobody played it anymore. Anna felt sad every time she cleaned the piano. Such a beautiful instrument should be played, she thought. Music should fill this room. But it was not her place to say anything. She was just the maid. She began dusting the piano carefully. Her hands moved gently over the smooth black surface. She cleaned each key with a soft cloth. As she worked, she hummed a tune she had heard on the radio. Anna loved music, even though she had never learned to play any instrument. When she was young, her family was too poor to afford music lessons. They could barely afford food. Anna finished cleaning and stood back to look at the piano. The morning light made it shine beautifully. She sighed and picked up her bucket. She had many more rooms to clean before the family woke up. At 7:30, Anna walked to the servants' quarters behind the mansion. This is where she and her daughter lived. It was a small building with 4 tiny rooms. Other servants lived there too. The cook, the gardener, and the driver all had rooms in the same building. Anna opened the door to her room. It was very small, with just 2 beds, a table, and a chair. But it was clean and it was home. Her daughter, Sophia, was still sleeping in her bed. Anna smiled. Sophia was 14 years old now, with dark hair and brown eyes. She looked so peaceful when she slept. Sophia, Anna called softly. Time to wake up. You have school today. Sophia opened her eyes slowly. She stretched and sat up in bed. Good morning, Mama, she said with a sleepy smile. Good morning, my love. Get dressed quickly. I made some bread for your breakfast. Sophia got out of bed and put on her school uniform. It was old and had been fixed many times, but it was clean. Anna made sure of that. While Sophia got ready, Anna put bread and cheese on the table. They also had some tea. It was not much, but it was all they could afford. Sophia ate her breakfast quickly. She had to walk 30 minutes to get to school. Anna watched her daughter eat and felt a mix of pride and sadness. Sophia was so smart. She got good grades in all her classes, but Anna knew that being smart was not enough when you were poor. Sophia would probably end up working as a maid, just like her mother. There was no money for university. There was barely enough money for food and clothes. Mama, are you okay? Sophia asked. She had noticed her mother's sad expression. Anna smiled quickly. Yes, I am fine. I was just thinking. You should go now or you will be late for school. Sophia kissed her mother on the cheek and picked up her old school bag. I will see you tonight, Mama. I love you. I love you too, my darling. After Sophia left, Anna went back to the mansion. She had to serve breakfast to the Zimmerman family. Mr. Zimmerman sat at the head of the table reading his newspaper. He was a large man with gray hair and a thick mustache. He never smiled. Mrs. Zimmerman sat next to him. She was much younger than her husband, maybe 40 years old, with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was kind to Anna, much kinder than her husband. Their daughter, Christine, sat across from them. She was 16 years old and very pretty. She had her mother's blonde hair and her father's serious face. Christine was looking at a magazine about fashion while she ate her breakfast. Anna poured coffee for Mr. Zimmerman and brought fresh bread to the table. Nobody said thank you. They never did. Anna was used to it. She was like a ghost in the house. People only noticed her when something was wrong. After breakfast, Anna cleaned the dining room and then moved to the other rooms. She dusted the furniture, swept the floors, and washed the windows. Her hands never stopped moving. By lunchtime, her back hurt and her feet were sore, but she could not rest. There was always more work to do. In the afternoon, Anna had to wash the clothes. She filled a large basin with water and soap. She scrubbed each piece of clothing by hand. The Zimmermans had a washing machine, but it was broken. Mr. Zimmerman said he would fix it, but he had been saying that for 3 months. So Anna washed everything by hand. While she worked, she thought about Sophia. Her daughter was everything to her. Anna had gotten pregnant when she was 23 years old. The father was a man who promised to marry her but left when he found out about the baby. Anna's own family was ashamed of her. They told her to leave and never come back. Those were hard years. Anna worked any job she could find. She cleaned houses, washed dishes in restaurants, and took care of other people's children, all while taking care of her own baby. There were nights when Anna went to bed hungry so that Sophia could eat. There were winters when Anna wore thin clothes so she could buy a warm coat for her daughter, but Anna never regretted having Sophia. Not for one single day. Her daughter was the light of her life. Sophia was kind and smart and beautiful. She made everything worth it. The day passed slowly. Anna cleaned and cooked and served. Finally, at 6 o'clock in the evening, her workday ended. She walked back to the servants' quarters, her whole body aching with tiredness. Sophia was already home, sitting at the small table and doing her homework. She looked up when her mother came in. "Mama, you look so tired. Sit down. I will make tea for you." Anna sat down gratefully. Sophia made tea and brought it to her mother. They sat together in comfortable silence. This was Anna's favorite time of day. Just her and Sophia, together in their small room away from the demands of the Zimmerman family. "How was school today?" Anna asked. "It was good. We learned about Mozart in music class. The teacher played his music on a record player. Mama, it was so beautiful. I wish I could make music like that." Anna felt that familiar sadness again. "Music lessons are very expensive, my love." "I know, Mama, I was just dreaming." Sophia smiled, but her eyes were sad. They ate dinner together. It was just soup and bread, but they were together, and that made it taste better. After dinner, Sophia went back to her homework. Anna sat on her bed and mended some clothes that had holes in them. At 9 o'clock, Anna told Sophia it was time for bed. They both needed to sleep. Tomorrow would be another long day. Sophia got into her bed and Anna tucked the blanket around her. "Good night, Mama." "Good night, my angel." Anna blew out the candle, and the room went dark, but she did not fall asleep right away. She lay in bed thinking about Sophia's words. "I wish I could make music like that." Anna wished she could give her daughter everything. Music lessons, pretty dresses, a better life. But wishing did not change anything. They were poor, and that was just how things were. Finally, Anna fell asleep. She did not know that everything was about to change. The next evening, something unusual happened. The Zimmermans went to dinner at a friend's house. They would not be home until very late. The cook had the evening off. The gardener was visiting his sick mother. The driver had gone with the Zimmermans. Anna and Sophia were alone in the servants' quarters. Sophia finished her homework early. She was restless, walking around the small room. Anna was sitting on her bed sewing a button on one of Mr. Zimmerman's shirts. "Mama, can I go for a walk?" Sophia asked. Anna looked up. "It is getting dark soon. Just in the garden, please." "I will stay where you can see me from the window." Anna nodded. "Okay, but stay close." Sophia went outside. Anna watched from the window as her daughter walked in the garden. The mansion looked beautiful in the evening light. All the windows were dark because nobody was home. Sophia walked around the garden, but she felt drawn to the mansion. She had lived here all her life but had never really been inside. Her mother worked there every day, but Sophia was not allowed in. The servants' children had to stay in the servants' quarters. But now nobody was home. Sophia looked back at the servants' building. She could see her mother in the window bent over her sewing. Sophia knew she should not do it. She knew it was wrong. But she could not help herself. She walked to the back door of the mansion. Her heart was beating fast. She tried the door handle. It was not locked. Anna must have forgotten to lock it when she finished work. Sophia opened the door slowly and stepped inside. The mansion was very quiet. Sophia had never heard such silence. She stood in the hallway, not sure what to do. Should she go back? But she had come this far. She wanted to see the inside of this beautiful house. Sophia walked quietly through the hallway. She passed the kitchen, the dining room, the sitting room. Everything was so big and beautiful. The furniture was made of dark wood. Paintings hung on the walls. Thick carpets covered the floors. Then Sophia saw a door that was slightly open. Light from the evening sun came through the gap. She pushed the door open wider and stepped inside. It was the music room. Sophia had heard her mother talk about this room many times, and there in the center of the room was the piano. Sophia had never seen anything so beautiful in her entire life. She walked slowly toward it. The piano seemed to glow in the golden evening light. Sophia reached out and touched it carefully. The surface was smooth and cool. She ran her fingers along the edge, hardly believing she was really touching such a magnificent instrument. Sophia looked around. Nobody was there. The house was empty. Her mother thought she was in the garden. Before she could talk herself out of it, Sophia sat down on the piano bench. She looked at the keys. They were white and black, perfectly arranged. Sophia had seen pianos before in pictures and in shop windows, but she had never been this close to one. Very gently, she pressed one key. A clear, beautiful note filled the room. Sophia smiled. She pressed another key. Another lovely note. She did not know how to play the piano. She had never had a lesson in her life. But Sophia loved music. She listened to it on the radio whenever she could. She sang along to songs. She could remember melodies after hearing them just once. Sophia put both hands on the keys. She tried to remember a song she had heard on the radio last week. It was a simple melody. She began to press the keys, trying to find the right notes. Some notes were wrong. She tried again. Slowly, very slowly, she began to figure out where the notes were. Time passed. Sophia did not notice. She was completely focused on the piano. She was trying to play a song by Mozart that her teacher had played in class. She kept making mistakes, but she kept trying. Her fingers moved over the keys, searching for the right sounds. What Sophia did not know was that someone was watching her. Mrs. Zimmerman had come home early. She had felt sick at dinner and decided to return to the house. She had come in through the front door very quietly because her head hurt. Mrs. Zimmerman heard the piano playing. At first, she thought Christine had come home too. But then she remembered that Christine was sleeping over at her friend's house. Mrs. Zimmerman walked toward the music room, wondering who could be playing. She looked through the doorway and froze. There, sitting at her expensive piano, was the maid's daughter. The girl was playing badly, making many mistakes. But she was trying so hard. Her face was full of concentration. Her fingers kept searching for the right keys. Mrs. Zimmerman should have been angry. This girl had no right to be in her house touching her piano. But Mrs. Zimmerman was not angry. She was fascinated. She stood in the doorway watching and listening. Sophia finally gave up on the Mozart piece. It was too hard. Instead, she tried to play a simple song she knew well. It was a folk song her mother sometimes sang while she worked. This time Sophia found most of the right notes. The melody was simple and sweet. Mrs. Zimmerman felt something move in her heart. This girl had never had a piano lesson, that much was obvious. But she loved music. Mrs. Zimmerman could see it in the way Sophia touched the keys and the expression on her face. This girl had something that Christine had never had, even with all her expensive lessons. This girl had passion. Sophia finished the song and sat back with a satisfied smile. She had done it. She had played a whole song on the piano. It was the most wonderful feeling in the world. That was lovely, a voice said. Sophia jumped up from the bench so fast that she almost fell over. Her heart felt like it would burst out of her chest. Mrs. Zimmerman stood in the doorway. "I am sorry. I am so sorry," Sophia said, her voice shaking with fear. "I should not be here. Please do not tell my mother. Please do not fire her. It was my fault. I will leave right now." Mrs. Zimmerman walked into the room. Sophia wanted to run, but her legs would not move. She stood there shaking, waiting for Mrs. Zimmerman to yell at her. But Mrs. Zimmerman did not yell. She walked to the piano and looked at Sophia with kind eyes. "How long have you been teaching yourself to play?" Mrs. Zimmerman asked gently. Sophia was so surprised by the question that she forgot to be scared for a moment. Teaching myself? I just started tonight. This is the first time I ever touched a piano. Mrs. Zimmerman's eyes widened. The first time? And you could already play that song? It is a very simple song, Sophia said quickly. I just listened and tried to remember where the notes were. Mrs. Zimmerman sat down on a chair near the piano. She was quiet for a long moment, just looking at Sophia. The girl was terrified, that was clear. But there was also something else in her eyes. Hope, love for music. What is your name? Mrs. Zimmerman asked. Sophia, ma'am. Sophia Kovacs. I'm Anna's daughter. I know your mother. She is a good worker. Mrs. Zimmerman was quiet again, thinking, Sophia, I will not tell your mother about this. And I will not fire her. Sophia felt like she could breathe again. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. But I have a question for you. Do you want to learn to play the piano? Really learn, I mean. Sophia's mouth opened, but no words came out. Was this a trick? She did not understand. I do not have money for lessons, ma'am, Sophia finally said. I am not asking about money. I am asking if you want to learn. More than anything in the world, Sophia whispered. Mrs. Zimmerman smiled. It was the first real smile Sophia had ever seen on her face. Then we will find a way. But this must be our secret for now. My husband would not understand. Can you keep a secret, Sophia? Sophia nodded, not trusting herself to speak. She felt like she was in a dream. Good, now go back to your mother before she worries. We will talk more about this later. Sophia ran from the room, her heart flying. She ran through the mansion and out the back door. She ran across the garden to the servants' quarters. When she burst through the door, Anna looked up in surprise. Sophia, what is wrong? You look like you saw a ghost. Sophia threw her arms around her mother. Nothing is wrong, Mama. Everything is wonderful. Anna hugged her daughter, confused but happy. She did not know what had happened, but she had not seen Sophia this excited in a long time. That night, Sophia could not sleep. She lay in her bed staring at the ceiling. She kept thinking about the piano, the feel of the keys under her fingers, the beautiful sounds, and Mrs. Zimmerman's words, "We will find a way." Sophia did not know how it would happen. She did not know what Mrs. Zimmerman's plan was. But for the first time in her life, Sophia felt like maybe, just maybe, her dreams could come true. In her own bed, Anna finally fell asleep, not knowing that her daughter's life had just changed forever. And in the mansion, Mrs. Zimmerman sat in her bedroom making plans. She had seen something special in that young girl, something rare and precious, and Mrs. Zimmerman had enough money and enough influence to give Sophia a chance. But first, she needed to figure out how to do it without her husband finding out. Mr. Zimmerman would never approve of spending time and money on the maid's daughter. He would call it ridiculous. He would say that poor people should stay in their place. Mrs. Zimmerman did not agree. She believed that talent should be recognized no matter where it came from. And Sophia had talent. Raw, untrained, natural talent. Mrs. Zimmerman made her decision. She would help Sophia learn to play the piano. Somehow she would make it happen. This girl deserved a chance, and Mrs. Zimmerman would give it to her. 3 days passed after that magical evening. Sophia kept the secret locked tight in her heart. Every time she saw Mrs. Zimmerman walking through the halls, her heart would beat faster. But Mrs. Zimmerman only gave her small smiles and said nothing. Sophia began to wonder if she had dreamed the whole thing. Anna noticed that her daughter seemed different. Sophia hummed more often. She smiled for no reason. She seemed to be waiting for something, though Anna could not figure out what. When Anna asked if everything was okay, Sophia just hugged her and said everything was perfect. On the 4th day, everything changed. Anna was cleaning the upstairs hallway when Mrs. Zimmerman called her into the sitting room. Anna's hand started to shake. Had Mrs. Zimmerman found out about Sophia being in the mansion? Was she going to fire Anna after all? You asked to see me, ma'am? Anna said quietly, her eyes on the floor. Yes, Anna. Please sit down. Anna was shocked. Mrs. Zimmerman had never asked her to sit down before. Servants did not sit in front of their employers. But Mrs. Zimmerman pointed to a chair, so Anna sat on the edge of it, very uncomfortable. Anna, I want to talk to you about your daughter, Sophia. Anna's heart dropped into her stomach.
Has she done something wrong, ma'am?
I will punish her. I will make sure it never happens again. No, nothing like that, Mrs. Zimmerman smiled. Actually, I have a proposal for you. I would like to give Sophia piano lessons. Anna stared at Mrs. Zimmerman, not understanding. Piano lessons, ma'am? Yes, I believe your daughter has a natural talent for music. I would like to hire a teacher for her. I will pay for everything. Anna could not believe what she was hearing. But why, ma'am? We cannot pay you back. We have no money. I do not want you to pay me back. Consider it a gift. Your daughter is a bright girl. She should have opportunities. Anna felt tears coming to her eyes. Ma'am, I do not know what to say. This is too much. Too generous. There is one condition, Mrs. Zimmerman said. My husband cannot know about this. He would not approve, so the lessons must be private. Sophia can come to the music room after school, when my husband is still at the factory. She will have 1 hour of practice time, 3 days a week. Can you agree to this? Anna wanted to say yes more than anything in the world. But she was also afraid. What if Mr. Zimmerman finds out? Will we lose our home? I will be careful. He will not find out. I promise you. Anna thought about Sophia, her beautiful, smart daughter who loved music so much. This was a chance that would never come again. How could she say no? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anna was crying now, tears of joy running down her face. Good, the lessons will start next week. I have already contacted a teacher. Her name is Miss Elena Fisher. She is young but very talented. And most importantly, she will be discreet. That evening, Anna told Sophia the news. Sophia screamed with joy and jumped up and down in their small room. She hugged her mother so tight that Anna could hardly breathe. Is it really true, Mama? Real piano lessons? With a real teacher? Yes, my love. It is true. Mrs. Zimmerman is being very kind to us. I will work so hard, Mama. I will be the best student Miss Fisher ever had. I promise. Anna held her daughter close. I know you will, my angel. I know you will. The next week felt like the longest week of Sophia's life. She could barely concentrate in school. All she could think about was the piano. At night, she dreamed about playing beautiful music. She woke up with her fingers moving as if they were touching invisible keys. Finally, the day came. Sophia ran home from school faster than she had ever run before. She washed her face and hands. She brushed her hair until it shined. She put on her best dress even though it was old and patched in places. Anna walked with her to the mansion. Remember to be respectful. Listen carefully to everything Miss Fisher says. And do not touch anything except the piano. I will be good. Mama, I promise. They entered through the back door and walked to the music room. Mrs. Zimmerman was already there, standing next to a young woman. The woman looked about 25 years old. She had red hair pulled back in a bun and green eyes that sparkled with intelligence. She wore a simple blue dress and carried a leather bag full of music books. Sophia, this is Miss Elena Fisher. She will be your teacher. Sophia curtsied like she had been taught to do when meeting important people. Hello, Miss Fisher. I am very happy to meet you. Elena smiled warmly. And I am happy to meet you, Sophia. Mrs. Zimmerman tells me you have never had piano lessons before. Is that true? Yes, ma'am. I touched a piano for the first time last week. Well, we shall start from the very beginning then. Mrs. Zimmerman, Mrs. Kovacs, if you will excuse us. I think Sophia and I should get to know each other. Mrs. Zimmerman nodded and left the room. Anna looked at her daughter one more time, squeezed her hand, and then left too. Sophia was alone with her new teacher. Elena sat down on the piano bench and patted the space next to her. Come sit with me. Let me see your hands. Sophia sat down and held out her hands. They were small and thin with short nails. There were small scars on them from helping her mother with cleaning work. Good hands, Elena said. Strong fingers. That is important for piano playing. Now let us start with the basics. Do you know what these black and white keys are called? For the next hour, Elena taught Sophia about the piano. She explained about notes and scales. She showed Sophia how to sit correctly, how to curve her fingers, how to use her whole arm when she played, not just her fingers. Sophia listened to every word as if it was the most important thing she had ever heard. At the end of the lesson, Elena gave Sophia homework. She had to practice scales for 15 minutes every day. She gave Sophia a book with simple exercises. But, Miss Fisher, I do not have a piano to practice on, Sophia said sadly. Elena looked confused. What do you mean? There is a piano right here. I cannot come here every day. Only 3 days a week when Mr. Zimmerman is not home. Elena looked at Mrs. Zimmerman, who had returned to the room. Is this true? The child can only practice 3 hours a week? Mrs. Zimmerman nodded. I am afraid so. My husband does not know about the lessons. It must stay that way, Elena frowned. 3 hours a week is not enough. To become good at piano, one must practice every day, at least 1 hour, preferably 2. Sophia felt her dreams crumbling. I understand, Miss Fisher. I will do my best with what I have. That night, Sophia lay in bed thinking. She wanted to practice so badly, but there was no piano in the servants' quarters, and she could not go to the mansion except on lesson days. What could she do? Then Sophia had an idea. She got out of bed very quietly so she would not wake her mother. She found a piece of paper and a pencil. She drew a piano keyboard on the paper. It was not perfect, but it showed all the white keys and black keys in the right order. The next day after school, Sophia laid the paper on the table in her room. She put her fingers on the drawn keys and practiced her scales. She could not hear any sound, of course, but she could remember what each note was supposed to sound like. She moved her fingers exactly as Miss Fisher had shown her. She curved her fingers. She kept her wrists straight. Anna came home from work and found her daughter sitting at the table, her fingers moving over a piece of paper. What are you doing, my love? I am practicing, Mama. Miss Fisher said I need to practice every day. Since I cannot use the real piano, I made my own. Anna felt her heart fill with love and sadness at the same time. Her daughter was so determined, so creative. But it broke Anna's heart that Sophia had to practice on paper instead of a real piano. That is very clever, Sophia. I am proud of you. Sophia practiced on her paper piano every single day. She practiced her scales. She practiced the simple songs from the book Miss Fisher had given her. Her fingers learned the patterns. Her mind memorized the notes. The days turned into weeks. Every lesson, Sophia showed Miss Fisher what she had learned. Elena was amazed. She had never seen a student progress so quickly with so little practice time on a real piano. How do you do it? Elena asked one day. You play as if you have been practicing for hours every day. Sophia explained about her paper piano. Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised Sophia. She hugged her. You are an extraordinary girl, Sophia Kovacs. I have taught many students from wealthy families, students who have pianos in every room of their houses. But none of them have ever worked as hard as you. None of them have ever wanted it as much as you do. Sophia felt proud and happy, but she also felt sad. She wished she had a real piano. She wished she did not have to practice on paper. But she did not complain. She was grateful for what she had. 2 months passed. Sophia learned quickly. She could now play simple pieces by Mozart and Bach. Her fingers moved across the keys with growing confidence. Miss Fisher said she was the best student she had ever taught. One day, Mrs. Zimmerman came to watch a lesson. She sat in a chair in the corner of the room, very quiet. She watched as Sophia played a piece by Bach. It was simple, but Sophia played it beautifully. Every note was clear. The rhythm was perfect. When Sophia finished, Mrs. Zimmerman had tears in her eyes. That was beautiful, Sophia. Truly beautiful. Thank you, ma'am. After the lesson, Mrs. Zimmerman asked Elena to stay for a moment. Sophia left the room, closing the door behind her. But she was curious. She stood outside the door, listening. She knew it was wrong, but she could not help herself. 1 month? No, absolutely not. It would be cruel to put her in that position. She would fail, and it could destroy her confidence forever. Sophia's heart sank. She had been so excited about the idea of performing. But Miss Fisher was right. She was not ready. She had only been learning for 2 months. She would make mistakes. People would laugh at her. Mrs. Zimmerman was quiet for a long moment. What if we do not tell her until the last minute? What if we let her think she is just practicing and then surprise her with the performance? That would be even worse. She needs time to prepare mentally. No, Mrs. Zimmerman, I cannot support this idea. It is too risky. Very well. I will think about it. Sophia heard footsteps coming toward the door. She ran quickly down the hallway before anyone could see her. Her mind was spinning. A gala, a performance. Important people from all over Vienna. The idea terrified her and excited her at the same time. That night, Sophia practiced on her paper piano longer than usual. She imagined herself sitting at a real piano, in a beautiful room with people watching her. In her imagination, she played perfectly. Everyone clapped and smiled. Her mother was proud, Mrs. Zimmerman was happy. But then Sophia imagined what would really happen. She would be nervous. Her hands would shake. She would forget the notes. People would whisper and point. That is just the maid's daughter. What is she doing here? She does not belong. Sophia shook her head. She needed to stop thinking about it. Mrs. Zimmerman had probably already forgotten the idea. It was just a dream, nothing more. 2 weeks passed. Sophia continued her lessons with Miss Fisher. She was learning a new piece, a waltz by Chopin. It was more difficult than anything she had played before. But Sophia loved it. The melody was so beautiful, so sad and sweet at the same time. One afternoon, Mrs. Zimmerman came to the music room during Sophia's lesson. She looked excited about something. Sophia, I have some news for you. In 2 weeks, I am hosting a charity gala here at the mansion. Many important people will be there, and I would like you to perform. Sophia felt like the floor had disappeared under her feet. Me, perform? In front of people? Yes, you will play during the intermission. Just one piece. What do you think? Sophia looked at Miss Fisher. Her teacher's face was serious. Not happy at all. Mrs. Zimmerman, I really must protest, Elena said. Sophia is not ready for this. It is too soon. I disagree. I have heard her play. She is wonderful. Playing in a practice room and playing in front of an audience are two completely different things. Sophia needs more time. She has 2 weeks. That is enough time to prepare one piece very well. Sophia watched the two women argue. Part of her wanted to say yes. She wanted to play for people. She wanted to show them what she could do. But another part of her was terrified. What if she failed? What if she embarrassed herself and her mother and Mrs. Zimmerman? Sophia, what do you think? Mrs. Zimmerman asked. Do you want to do this? Sophia took a deep breath. I am scared, but I want to try. If Miss Fisher will help me, I want to try. Elena sighed. Very well. If this is what you both want, I will do my best to prepare you. But Sophia, you must practice more. You must practice every single day as much as you possibly can. I will, I promise. For the next 2 weeks, Sophia practiced harder than she had ever practiced anything in her life. She practiced on her paper piano for 2 hours every night after school. On lesson days, she practiced on the real piano. Miss Fisher was patient but demanding. She made Sophia play the same measures over and over until they were perfect. Do not think about the notes, Elena told her. The notes should come automatically. Think about the feeling. Think about the story you want to tell with the music. Sophia tried. She played the waltz again and again. Her fingers hurt. Her back hurt from sitting so long. But she did not stop. Anna watched her daughter with growing worry. Sophia, you are working too hard. You need to rest. I cannot rest, Mama. The gala is in 1 week. I have to be perfect. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to do your best. But Sophia wanted more than her best. She wanted to be amazing. She wanted people to forget that she was just the maid's daughter. She wanted them to see her as a musician. 3 days before the gala, disaster struck. Sophia was practicing in the music room when suddenly, her mind went blank. She forgot the notes. Her hands froze on the keys. She tried to remember, but the music was gone from her head. I forgot, Sophia said, her voice shaking. I cannot remember the notes. Elena put a gentle hand on Sophia's shoulder. You are too tense. Your mind is too worried about the performance. Take a deep breath. Sophia breathed in and out slowly. But when she tried to play again, the same thing happened. Her mind went blank. The notes disappeared. I cannot do it, Sophia said, tears starting to fall. I am going to fail. I am going to embarrass everyone. No, you are not. Listen to me, Sophia. You know this piece. You have played it 100 times perfectly. The problem is not your skill. The problem is your fear. How do I stop being afraid? You do not stop being afraid. You accept the fear and play anyway. Every musician gets nervous before a performance. Even the greatest pianists in the world. The trick is to use that nervous energy to make your playing more passionate. Sophia wiped her tears. I will try. That night, Sophia could not sleep. She lay in bed, her mind racing. Tomorrow was the gala. Tomorrow she would play in front of dozens of important people. What if she forgot the notes again? What if her hands shook so badly that she could not play at all? Next to her, Anna was also awake. She could hear Sophia tossing and turning. Sophia, are you awake? Yes, Mama. Anna got out of her bed and sat on the edge of Sophia's bed. She took her daughter's hand. You do not have to do this, you know. If you are too scared, you can tell Mrs. Zimmerman no. She will understand. But I want to do it, Mama. I'm just so afraid I will make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes, my love. That is part of being human. But you know what? Even if you make mistakes tomorrow, I will still be proud of you. You are 14 years old and you have only been learning piano for 3 months. The fact that you can play at all is a miracle. Sophia hugged her mother. Thank you, Mama. Now try to sleep. You need to rest for tomorrow. Sophia closed her eyes and finally fell into an uneasy sleep. She dreamed of pianos and music and crowds of people watching her. The next day arrived too quickly. Sophia could barely eat breakfast. Her stomach felt like it was full of butterflies. Anna helped her get dressed. Sophia wore her best dress. It was still old and patched, but Anna had washed it and ironed it until it looked as nice as possible. You look beautiful, Anna said, tears in her eyes. I look poor, Sophia said sadly. You look like yourself, and that is beautiful enough. In the mansion, preparations for the gala were happening everywhere. Servants rushed around decorating rooms with flowers and candles. The cook was preparing a huge feast. Musicians were setting up their instruments in the ballroom. Sophia stayed in the servants' quarters with her mother, trying to stay calm. She practiced on her paper piano one more time. Her fingers moved through the waltz. She hummed the melody softly. At 7 o'clock in the evening, the guests started arriving. Sophia watched from the window as elegant carriages pulled up to the mansion. Women in beautiful gowns stepped out, their jewels sparkling in the lamplight. Men in fine suits escorted them. Everyone looked so rich, so sophisticated. Sophia looked down at her own dress and felt like crying. She did not belong in this world. What was she thinking? These people would take one look at her and laugh. There was a knock on the door. Anna opened it. Mrs. Zimmerman stood there wearing a gorgeous purple gown with diamonds around her neck. It is time, Sophia. Are you ready? Sophia stood up. Her legs felt like water. I think so. You will do wonderfully. I believe in you. Mrs. Zimmerman led Sophia into the mansion through the back entrance. They walked through the hallways toward the music room. Sophia could hear voices and laughter coming from the ballroom. So many people. So many important people. They reached the music room. Miss Fisher was already there, waiting. She smiled at Sophia. How do you feel? Terrified, Sophia admitted. Good, that means you care. Now remember, do not think about the people watching. Do not think about making mistakes. Just think about the music. Let the music carry you. Sophia nodded. She sat down at the piano and put her hands on the keys. They were shaking. Mrs. Zimmerman left to go to the ballroom. Miss Fisher sat in a chair in the corner, ready to watch. The room was quiet. Sophia closed her eyes. She took a deep breath. She put her fingers in position. And then she heard Mrs. Zimmerman's voice from the ballroom, announcing that there would be a special performance during intermission. This was it. In just a few minutes, all those people would come into this room. They would see her. They would judge her. Sophia's hands shook even more. Could she really do this? Or was she about to make the biggest mistake of her life? The sound of footsteps echoed through the hallway. Sophia's heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her chest. The guests were coming. Any moment now, they would enter the music room. They would see her sitting at the piano. They would wonder who she was and what she was doing there. Sophia looked down at her hands on the piano keys. Her fingers were still shaking. She tried to make them stop, but they would not listen to her. 3 months ago, these hands were scrubbing floors with her mother. Now they were supposed to make beautiful music in front of Vienna's elite society. How did this happen? How did her life change so completely in such a short time? The door opened. Mrs. Zimmerman entered first, her purple gown rustling as she walked. Behind her came the guests, talking and laughing among themselves. They filled the room, standing along the walls because there were not enough chairs for everyone. Sophia saw beautiful gowns in every color. She saw men in expensive suits with gold watch chains. She saw jewelry that probably cost more than her mother would earn in a lifetime. And then she saw her mother. Anna was standing in the doorway that led to the servants' hallway. She was still wearing her maid's uniform. She was supposed to be serving food to the guests, but she had sneaked away to watch her daughter. Their eyes met across the room. Anna smiled and put her hand over her heart. Sophia knew what that meant. It meant, I love you. I am proud of you. You can do this. Sophia felt a little braver. She sat up straighter on the piano bench. She placed her hands properly on the keys the way Miss Fisher had taught her. Curve your fingers. Keep your wrists straight. Relax your shoulders. The room gradually became quiet. People stopped talking and turned to look at Sophia. She could feel their eyes on her. Some looked curious. Some looked confused. Some looked like they wanted to laugh. Who was this girl in the old dress? Why was she sitting at the Zimmermans' expensive piano? Mrs. Zimmerman moved to the front of the room. She smiled at the guests and began to speak. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming to my annual charity gala. Tonight we are raising money for the Vienna Children's Hospital. But before we continue with dinner, I have a very special treat for you. We will have a musical performance by a young, talented pianist. Please welcome Sofia Kovac. Mrs. Zimmerman began to clap. A few people joined her politely. But Sophia could see that most of the guests looked skeptical. They had probably expected someone famous, someone important. Not this thin girl in a shabby dress. Sophia looked at the piano keys. They seemed to blur in front of her eyes. Her mind felt completely blank. What was she supposed to play? She knew she had practiced a waltz by Chopin for weeks, but right now she could not remember a single note. It was like the music had been erased from her brain. Panic seized her. She could not do this. She needed to run away. She needed to tell everyone this was a mistake. She was just a poor girl, the maid's daughter. She had no business playing piano in front of these wealthy people. Sophia started to stand up from the bench. She was going to apologize and leave. But then something stopped her. A movement in the corner of the room. Sophia turned her head and saw a man standing there. He had not been there before. He must have just arrived. The man was old, maybe 70 years old. He had white hair and a white beard. He wore a black suit and held a cane with a silver handle. But the most striking thing about him was his eyes. They were sharp and intelligent, looking at Sophia with intense focus. Sophia felt frozen under his gaze. There was something about this man, something important. She could tell just by the way everyone in the room had stepped back when he entered. Even Mr. Zimmerman, who usually acted like he owned the whole world, looked nervous around this man. Mrs. Zimmerman saw the man, and her face went pale. She quickly walked over to him and spoke in a low voice that Sophia could barely hear. Maestro Müller, what an honor. I did not know you were coming tonight. Maestro Müller. The name hit Sophia like a thunderbolt. Heinrich Müller. He was the most famous piano teacher in all of Vienna, maybe in all of Europe. He had taught some of the greatest pianists in the world. He was a legend, and he was here. Right now, about to watch her play, Sophia felt like she might faint. This was worse than she had imagined. It was not just wealthy society people anymore. It was Maestro Heinrich Müller. He would know immediately that she was a fraud. He would hear her play and recognize that she had only been learning for 3 months. He would probably stop her in the middle of the piece and tell her to get away from the piano. The maestro waved away Mrs. Zimmerman's greeting. I was invited, was I not? Now please continue. I am interested to hear this young pianist you mentioned. He walked slowly to a chair near the piano and sat down. His eyes never left Sophia. She felt like he could see right through her. Like he could see all her fear and all her secrets. Sophia looked desperately at Miss Fisher, who was still sitting in the corner. Her teacher gave her an encouraging nod. Sophia looked at her mother, who smiled through her own tears. Sophia looked down at her hands. She could run. She could tell everyone she was sick and leave. No one would blame her. But then what? Mrs. Zimmerman had been so kind to her. She had given Sophia this incredible opportunity. And her mother was watching, so proud. Could Sophia really give up without even trying? No, she had come this far. She had practiced so hard. She had to try even if she failed. Failing after trying was better than not trying at all. Sophia took a deep breath. She placed her fingers on the keys, and she began to play. The first few notes were soft and uncertain. Sophia's fingers stumbled a little. She heard someone in the audience whisper. Her face burned with embarrassment, but she kept playing. The waltz slowly came back to her. Her fingers remembered what to do. The music grew stronger. The melody flowed from the piano like water from a fountain. Sophia stopped thinking about the people watching. She stopped thinking about her fear. She thought only about the music. The beautiful, sad, sweet music of Chopin's waltz. Her fingers danced across the keys. The notes came faster, more confident. Sophia felt something magical happening. She forgot where she was. She forgot about her old dress and her poor background. She was not Sofia Kovac, the maid's daughter. She was just music. Pure music. The waltz rose and fell like waves on the ocean, soft parts and loud parts, fast parts and slow parts. Sofia played them all with growing confidence. Her hands no longer shook. They moved across the keys as if they had been playing this piece for years, not weeks. In the audience, people stopped whispering. They stopped looking skeptical. They simply listened. Some of them had heard the greatest pianists in the world play this same waltz, but there was something special about the way this young girl played it. Something pure and genuine. Miss Fisher watched with tears in her eyes. She had known Sofia had talent, but this was more than talent. This was magic. Anna watched her daughter and felt her heart might burst with pride and joy. Her baby, her beautiful Sofia, playing like an angel, and Maestro Müller watched with an expression no one could read. His eyes were sharp and focused. His fingers tapped lightly on the arm of his chair, following the rhythm. What was he thinking? No one knew. Sofia reached the most difficult part of the piece, a series of fast runs up and down the keyboard. She had practiced this part 1,000 times on her paper piano. Now her fingers flew across the real keys. She made one small mistake, hitting a wrong note. But she did not stop. She did not panic. She kept going just as Miss Fisher had taught her. The waltz began to slow down. The ending was approaching. Sofia played the final note softly, gently, like a whisper. The last note hung in the air for a moment and then faded into silence. Sofia lifted her hands from the keys. She sat very still, not sure what to do. Should she stand up? Should she bow? Should she run away? She did not know. The silence in the room stretched on. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. No one moved. No one spoke. No one clapped. Sofia felt her heart sink. They had hated it. She had failed. She should never have tried. She was just a poor girl with big dreams. She had embarrassed herself and her mother and Mrs. Zimmerman. And then Maestro Müller began to clap. His applause was slow and steady. Clap, 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 one by one, other people joined him. Soon the whole room was clapping. Some people were even standing up. The applause grew louder and louder. Sofia stood up from the piano bench, her legs shaking. She did not know if she should smile or cry. She had done it. She had actually done it. She had played in front of all these people and they were clapping for her. But then Maestro Müller stopped clapping. He stood up from his chair and walked slowly toward Sofia. The room fell silent again. Everyone watched to see what he would do. The maestro stopped in front of Sofia. He looked down at her with those sharp, intelligent eyes. Sofia felt very small and very young. "What is your name, child?" he asked. His voice was deep and rough like rocks grinding together. "Sofia Kovac, sir," she whispered. "And how long have you been studying piano, Sofia Kovac?" 3 months, sir." Murmurs ran through the crowd. 3 months? Impossible. No one could play like that with only 3 months of training. "Who is your teacher?" "Miss Elena Fisher, sir." The maestro looked over at Elena, who stood up nervously. He nodded at her, a small acknowledgement. Then he turned back to Sofia. "You made several mistakes in your performance." Sofia's heart sank again. "Yes, sir." "I am sorry, sir. Do not apologize for mistakes. Mistakes are how we learn. But tell me, why did you choose that piece? A waltz by Chopin. Do you know it is considered quite difficult for someone at your level?" "Miss Fisher chose it for me, sir. She said it would challenge me." "And did it challenge you?" "Yes, sir. Very much." The maestro was quiet for a moment. He looked at Sofia's hands, then at her face, then back at her hands. "You have something, child. Something rare. Raw talent. But raw talent is like an uncut diamond. It must be shaped and polished to truly shine." He paused. "I would like to hear you play something else." Sofia's eyes went wide. "Something else, sir?" "Yes, but this time I will choose the piece." The maestro walked to a cabinet near the piano where the Zimmermans kept their sheet music. He looked through the folders, pulling out different pieces and putting them back. Finally, he found what he was looking for. He brought the sheet music back to the piano and placed it on the music stand. Sofia looked at it and felt her blood turn to ice. It was a piece by Rachmaninoff, Piano Concerto No. 3. Sofia had heard this piece on the radio once. It was famous for being one of the most difficult piano pieces ever written. Professional pianists spent years mastering it. "Sir, I do not know this piece. I have never played it before. I know. That is why I chose it. I want to see how you handle something completely new. Play the opening movement. Sophia looked at the music. The notes swam before her eyes. There were so many of them, fast runs, difficult chord progressions, parts that would require both hands to stretch across the keyboard in ways she had never done before. Sir, this is too difficult. I cannot play this, cannot, or will not. The maestro's eyes were hard. You said you wanted to be a pianist. A real pianist does not give up when faced with a challenge. Sophia felt tears starting to form in her eyes. This was not fair. She had just played a waltz that she had practiced for weeks, and she had played it well. Why was he making her try something impossible? She looked at her mother. Anna's face was full of worry. She looked at Mrs. Zimmerman, who also looked concerned. She looked at Miss Fisher, who shook her head slightly as if to say, "You do not have to do this." But then Sophia looked at Maestro Mueller. And she understood. This was a test. He wanted to see if she would give up. He wanted to see if she was serious about music or if she was just a girl playing at being a pianist. Sophia sat down at the piano bench again. Her hands were shaking worse than before. She looked at the sheet music. She tried to make sense of all the notes. "I will try, sir," she said quietly. "Good." The maestro stepped back and crossed his arms. Sophia put her fingers on the keys. She started to play. The opening of the concerto was fast and powerful. Sophia's fingers stumbled immediately. She hit wrong notes. She lost her place in the music. She tried to keep going, but it was too difficult. She stopped. "I am sorry. I cannot do this, or try again." Sophia tried again. This time she got a little further before making mistakes. But there were still so many wrong notes. The piece was just too hard. "Again," the maestro said. Sophia tried a third time, and a fourth time. Each time she got a little better. She started to understand the pattern of the notes. Her fingers began to find their way across the keys. But it was still messy, still full of mistakes. After the fifth try, Sophia stopped and put her head in her hands. She was crying now, frustrated tears running down her cheeks. "I am sorry," she sobbed. "I am not good enough. I will never be good enough." The room was completely silent. Everyone watched the crying girl at the piano. They felt embarrassed for her. Some felt angry at Maestro Mueller for being so harsh. But then something unexpected happened. The maestro smiled. It was the first smile anyone had seen on his face all evening. "There," he said softly. "Now I have seen what I needed to see." Sophia looked up at him, confused. "Sir, you tried 5 times. 5 times you failed, but you kept trying. You did not give up. You did not run away crying until the very end. And even now crying, you have not left the piano bench." He turned to face the audience. "This child has something that cannot be taught. She has determination. She has passion. And yes, she has talent. Raw, unpolished, but undeniable." He turned back to Sophia. "Stand up, child." Sophia stood on shaky legs. The maestro looked at her for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. "I, Heinrich Müller, offer to take this girl as my student. I will teach her piano. I will shape her talent. I will turn her into a real pianist." He looked at Mrs. Zimmerman. "If her family agrees, of course." The room erupted. People started talking all at once. This was incredible news. Maestro Müller had not taken a new student in over 5 years. He had said he was too old, too tired. But now he was offering to teach this unknown girl, this maid's daughter. Sophia could not believe what she was hearing. Maestro Müller wanted to teach her? It was like a dream, but better than any dream she had ever had. Anna pushed through the crowd and ran to her daughter. She hugged Sophia tight, both of them crying now. "Is it true?" Anna asked the maestro. "You really want to teach my daughter?" "I do not make offers lightly," he said. "Your daughter has a gift. It would be a crime to let it go to waste. I will teach her for free. She will study at the Vienna Conservatory with a full scholarship. All expenses paid. But we are nobody. We have no money. No connections. Why would you do this for us?" The maestro looked at Anna with something that might have been kindness. "Because music does not care about money or connections. Music only cares about talent and heart. Your daughter has both." He turned to leave, leaning heavily on his cane. But then he stopped and looked back at Sophia. "Lessons begin Monday morning. Do not be late." And with that he walked out of the room. The crowd parted for him like water around a stone. As soon as he left, everyone rushed toward Sophia and Anna. People congratulated them. Women in beautiful gowns told Sophia she had played wonderfully. Men said she had great potential. Mrs. Zimmerman hugged them both, crying with joy. But through all the noise and excitement, Sophia could only think one thing. Her life had just changed forever. That night, back in their small room in the servants' quarters, Sophia and Anna sat on Sophia's bed. They were still in shock. Everything had happened so fast. Mama, did that really happen? Or did I dream it? Anna laughed and cried at the same time. It happened, my love. It really happened. Maestro Miller wants to teach me. The greatest piano teacher in the world wants to teach me. You deserve it, Sophia. You worked so hard. You practiced every day, even on that paper piano. You earned this. Sophia hugged her mother. None of this would have happened without you, Mama. You worked so hard to give me a good life. You sacrificed so much. And I would do it all again. You are my everything, Sophia. They sat together in the quiet room. Outside, the gala continued. Music and laughter floated through the night air. But in this small room, mother and daughter held each other and thought about the future. Sophia thought about playing in concert halls. She thought about becoming a real pianist, not just a girl who played on a paper piano. She thought about making her mother proud. But she also felt scared. What if she was not good enough for Maestro Miller? What if she disappointed him? What if all of this was too good to be true? Mama, what if I fail? Anna pulled back and looked at her daughter's face. Then you fail. But at least you will have tried. At least you will have had this chance. That is more than most people ever get. Sophia nodded. Her mother was right. Whether she succeeded or failed, she had been given an incredible opportunity. She would work harder than she had ever worked in her life. She would make the most of this chance. I am going to make you proud, Mama, I promise. You already have, my love. You already have. That night, Sophia fell asleep with a smile on her face. She dreamed of pianos and music and standing on a stage while thousands of people clapped. But this time it was not just a dream. This time it could actually come true. In his own house across the city, Maestro Miller sat in his study. He was too old to stay at parties late into the night. He had left the gala right after making his offer to Sophia. Now he sat in his favorite chair thinking about the young girl he had just met. He had seen many talented students in his long career. Some had become famous, some had faded away. But there was something different about Sofia Kovacs. It was not just her talent, though that was impressive for someone with only 3 months of training. It was her determination, the way she kept trying to play that impossible Rachmaninoff piece, even when she was crying with frustration. That kind of determination could not be taught. The maestro poured himself a small glass of wine. He was 72 years old. He was tired. He had told himself he was done teaching. He wanted to rest and enjoy his final years in peace. But then he had heard Sophia play, and something had awakened in him. A spark he thought was dead, the desire to shape a talent, to help someone reach their full potential. He knew it would be difficult. Sophia had so much to learn. 3 months of training was nothing. She would need years of hard work. Monday morning came too quickly. Sophia barely slept the night before. She kept waking up thinking about her first lesson with Maestro Miller. What would he be like as a teacher? Would he be kind or would he be harsh? She had heard stories about him. People said he was brilliant but very strict. They said he had made students cry with his criticism. They said he expected perfection. Anna woke Sophia early, even though she had barely slept herself. She helped Sophia put on her best dress. It was the same dress Sophia had worn to the gala, still old and patched. Anna wished she could buy her daughter something new, something beautiful. But there was no money for new clothes. You look lovely, Anna said, brushing Sophia's hair. I look poor, Mama. You look like yourself. That is all that matters. Maestro Müller did not offer to teach you because of your clothes. He offered because of your talent. Sophia tried to believe that, but she was still nervous. The Vienna Conservatory was where rich children studied music. What would they think of a maid's daughter? Anna walked with Sophia to the conservatory. It was a beautiful building made of white stone, with tall windows and carved decorations. Wide steps led up to the front door. Sophia and Anna climbed them slowly, both feeling out of place. Inside, the building was even more impressive. The floors were made of polished marble. Paintings hung on every wall. Everywhere they looked, they saw expensive things and well-dressed people. A woman at a desk looked up when they entered. She had gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her dress was black and proper. She looked at Sophia and Anna with cold eyes. "May I help you?" she asked in a voice that suggested she did not really want to help at all. "My daughter has an appointment with Maestro Miller," Anna said. The woman raised her eyebrows. "With Maestro Miller? Are you certain?" "Yes, ma'am. He invited her himself." The woman looked at Sophia with obvious doubt. This girl in her patched dress was going to study with the great Heinrich Müller? "Impossible. Your name?" "Sophia Kovacs." The woman checked a list on her desk. Her expression changed to surprise. "Oh, yes, you are on the list. Studio 7, 3rd floor. The maestro is expecting you at 9 o'clock sharp." "Thank you," Anna said. They climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor. All around them they heard music. Piano music coming from behind closed doors. Some students played beautifully. Some were still learning. But all of them sounded more advanced than Sophia. Sophia felt her confidence shrinking with every step. These students had been learning for years. They had expensive teachers and nice pianos at home. What was Sophia doing here? She had only been playing for 3 months. She still practiced on a paper piano most days. They found Studio 7. It was a large room with high ceilings and tall windows. In the center was a grand piano, even bigger and more beautiful than the one at the Zimmerman mansion. Along one wall were bookshelves filled with music, and sitting in a chair near the piano was Maestro Miller. He looked older than Sophia remembered from the gala. The bright morning light showed every line on his face, but his eyes were still sharp and intelligent. "You are on time. Good. A musician must always be punctual." He looked at Anna. "You may leave now. Mrs. Kovacs, the lesson is for your daughter only." Anna squeezed Sophia's hand. "You will be wonderful," she whispered. Then she left, closing the door behind her. Sophia stood alone with the maestro. She did not know what to do. Should she sit at the piano? Should she wait for instructions? She had never been this nervous in her life. "Sit," the maestro said, pointing to the piano bench. Sophia sat. The piano was magnificent. Just looking at it made her hands shake. "Before we begin, I must make something clear," the maestro said. "I am not a kind teacher. I do not give praise easily. I will push you harder than you have ever been pushed. If you make a mistake, I will point it out. If you are lazy, I will know. If you think 3 months of lessons makes you a pianist, you are wrong. You are a beginner. Nothing more." Sophia felt tears starting to form in her eyes. She blinked them back. "However," the maestro continued, "I would not waste my time on you if I did not think you had potential. You have talent, raw unformed talent. My job is to shape that talent into something real. Your job is to work harder than you have ever worked. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Now show me your hands." Sophia held out her hands. The maestro took them in his own. His hands were old and wrinkled, but still strong. He examined Sophia's fingers carefully. "Small hands. That will make some pieces more difficult, but not impossible. Many great pianists have had small hands." He released her hands. "Now play your scales. All major scales, starting with C major." Sophia placed her fingers on the keys. She began playing her scales. She had practiced these thousands of times on her paper piano. Her fingers knew where to go. She played C major, then D major, then E major. She went through all 12 major scales. When she finished, she looked at the maestro, hoping for approval. "Your technique is terrible," he said bluntly. Sophia's heart sank. "Your wrist is too high. Your fingers are not curved enough. Your thumb tucks under too late when you cross scales. Your tempo is uneven. You rush the easy parts and slow down on the hard parts." Each criticism felt like a slap. Sophia felt stupid and small. "But," the maestro said, "your finger independence is surprisingly good for a beginner, and you do not play mechanically. Even in scales, you try to make music. That is rare." It was not exactly praise, but it was not complete criticism either. Sophia felt a tiny bit better. For the next hour, the maestro worked with Sophia on her scales. He showed her how to position her hands correctly. He made her play the same scale over and over, correcting tiny details each time. He was demanding and precise, but he was also patient in his own way. He did not yell. He just insisted on improvement. By the end of the lesson, Sophia's hands ached. Her head hurt from concentrating so hard, but she felt like she had learned more in 1 hour with Maestro Müller than in all her previous lessons combined. That is enough for today, the maestro said. You will come here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 o'clock. You will practice every day for at least 2 hours. Miss Fisher will continue to work with you on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. Between the two of us, you will receive proper training. Thank you, sir, but I do not have a piano to practice on. Except 3 days a week at the Zimmerman mansion. The maestro frowned. That is a problem. You cannot improve without daily practice on a real instrument. He thought for a moment. There is a practice room on the first floor that is usually empty in the evenings. I will arrange for you to have access to it. You may practice there every evening from 6 to 8 o'clock. Sophia could hardly believe it. Really, you would do that for me? I told you I do not waste my time. If I am going to teach you, you must have proper resources. He stood up, leaning on his cane. Now go, and do not be late on Wednesday. Sophia practically ran out of the studio. Anna was waiting in the hallway, nervous and worried. How did it go? Anna asked. He said my technique is terrible, Sophia said. But she was smiling. And he is going to let me practice here every evening. Anna hugged her daughter. That is wonderful. And so began the hardest months of Sophia's life. Every day followed the same pattern. She went to school in the morning. Then she did her homework as quickly as possible. At 6 o'clock, she went to the conservatory to practice. At 8 o'clock, she went home, ate a quick dinner, and fell into bed exhausted. 3 days a week, she had lessons with Maestro Müller. 2 days a week, she had lessons with Miss Fisher. The other 2 days, she just practiced on her own. The work was brutal. Maestro Müller was never satisfied. Sophia would play a piece perfectly, or so she thought, and he would find 10 things wrong with it. He criticized her tempo, her dynamics, her phrasing, her touch. Nothing was ever good enough. There were days when Sophia cried during her practice sessions. Days when she wanted to quit. Days when she felt like she would never be good enough. But she did not quit. She kept working. She kept practicing. Slowly, very slowly, she improved. Her fingers grew stronger. Her technique improved. She could play faster, more accurately. She learned to control her dynamics, playing soft passages with delicate touch and loud passages with power. She also learned music theory. Maestro Müller made her study harmony and composition. She had to analyze the pieces she played, understanding their structure and meaning. Music was not just about hitting the right notes. It was about understanding what the composer wanted to express. 3 months passed, then 6 months. Sophia barely noticed time passing. She was too busy working. Other students at the conservatory noticed her, though. At first, they were curious about this poor girl who studied with the great Maestro Müller. Some were friendly, but others were jealous or mean. One girl named Victoria was particularly cruel. She came from a wealthy family and had been studying piano since she was 5 years old. She could not understand why Maestro Müller had chosen Sophia over her. Victoria had begged to study with the maestro, but he had refused. Why does he teach you? Victoria asked Sophia one day. You are nobody. You live in servants' quarters. Your mother is a maid. Sophia felt her face burn with shame. I do not know why he chose me. But he did. It will not last. You will fail. You do not belong here, Sophia wanted to cry. But she refused to give Victoria that satisfaction. Instead, Sophia remembered the gala 9 months ago. How terrified she had been, how her hands had shaken. But she had done it. She had played despite her fear. I will do my best, sir. I expect nothing less. For the next 6 weeks, Sophia practiced the Beethoven sonata obsessively. She played it perfectly in her sleep. She hummed it while walking to school. Every free moment, she was at the piano working on it. Miss Fisher helped her prepare for the performance aspect. She taught Sophia how to walk onto a stage properly, how to bow to the audience, how to sit at the piano with confidence, how to handle the nervousness that came before performing. Remember, Elena said, the audience wants you to succeed. They are not your enemies. They came to hear beautiful music. Your job is to share that music with them. The night of the recital arrived. Anna helped Sophia get dressed. Mrs. Zimmerman had given Sophia a new dress as a gift. It was simple but beautiful, dark blue with a white collar. It was the nicest thing Sophia had ever worn. You look like a real pianist, Anna said, tears in her eyes. I am so nervous, Mama. What if I forget the notes? What if my hands shake so badly I cannot play? Then you will handle it. You have worked so hard for this, my love. Trust yourself. They went to the conservatory together. The recital hall was huge with rows and rows of seats. Sophia peeked out from backstage and saw the hall filling up with people. Her stomach felt like it was full of rocks. There were 20 students performing that night. Sophia was number 15. She had to sit backstage and listen to the others play first. Some of them were brilliant. They played with confidence and skill. Sophia felt more nervous with each performance. How could she possibly compare to these students who had been learning for years? Finally, it was her turn. Someone called her name. Sophia walked onto the stage on shaky legs. The lights were so bright she could barely see the audience. But she could feel them there, hundreds of people watching her. Sophia sat at the piano. She adjusted the bench. She placed her hands on the keys. She took a deep breath. And then she remembered something Maestro Mueller had told her. Do not play for the audience. Do not play for me. Play for yourself. Play because you love the music. Sophia closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about the Beethoven sonata. She thought about what it meant. It was a piece about struggle and triumph, about darkness and light, about never giving up. Sophia opened her eyes and began to play. The first movement was fast and energetic. Sophia's fingers flew across the keys. She poured all her energy into the music. She thought about her own struggles, about being poor, about people like Victoria who said she did not belong, about all the times she wanted to quit but did not. The second movement was slow and sad. Sophia played it with deep feeling. She thought about her mother working so hard all these years, about the sacrifices Anna had made, about nights when they went to bed hungry because there was no money for food. The third movement was triumphant and joyful. Sophia played with power and confidence. She thought about how far she had come, about the miracle of studying with Maestro Mueller, about this moment right now, playing on a stage in front of hundreds of people. Sophia was so lost in the music that she forgot to be nervous. She forgot about the audience. She forgot about everything except the piano and the music flowing through her fingers. She reached the final section of the sonata. The ending was loud and powerful. Sophia played with all her strength. The final chords rang out into the hall. And then it was over. Sophia lifted her hands from the keys. For a moment, there was complete silence. Then the applause started. It was not polite applause. It was real, genuine applause. People were standing up. They were cheering. Sophia stood and bowed, just as Miss Fisher had taught her. She looked out into the audience and saw her mother in the third row crying and clapping. Next to her was Mrs. Zimmerman also crying. And in the back of the hall, standing alone, was Maestro Mueller. He was not clapping, but he was nodding. That small, significant nod. Sophia walked off the stage feeling like she was floating. She had done it. She had really done it. Backstage, other students congratulated her. Even some who had been unfriendly before told her she had played beautifully. Victoria walked past without saying anything, but her face was red with jealousy. After the recital ended, Anna and Mrs. Zimmerman came backstage to find Sophia. "You were magnificent," Mrs. Zimmerman said, hugging her. "I knew you had talent, but that was extraordinary." "Thank you for everything you have done for me," Sophia said. "None of this would have been possible without you." "You did this yourself, Sophia. All I did was open a door. You are the one who walked through it and worked so hard." Maestro Mueller appeared behind them. Everyone fell quiet. The great Maestro rarely came backstage after recitals. "Sophia, walk with me," he said. Sophia followed him out of the building and into the conservatory gardens. It was a beautiful spring evening. The sun was setting, painting the sky pink and gold. "You played well tonight," the Maestro said. "Better than I expected." "Thank you, sir. You have progressed remarkably in 9 months. Most students take years to reach your level." He stopped walking and turned to look at her. "I am entering you in a competition." Sophia's eyes went wide. "A competition, sir?" "Yes, the Vienna Youth Piano Competition. It is held every year. The best young pianists in Austria compete. The winner receives a prize of 5,000 shillings and the opportunity to perform with the Vienna Symphony Orchestra. 5,000 shillings. That was more money than Anna made in 2 years. "But sir, I am not ready for a competition. I have only been playing for 9 months. I will decide when you are ready. The competition is in 3 months. That gives us time to prepare. You will need to learn a very difficult piece, something that will impress the judges." "What piece, sir?" The Maestro smiled slightly. "Do you remember the piece I asked you to play at the gala? The Rachmaninoff Concerto?" Sophia felt her blood go cold. Sir, I could barely play 3 measures of that piece. It is too difficult. It was too difficult 9 months ago. But you are stronger now, more skilled. I think you can learn it. But it will require more work than you have ever done. You will need to practice 4 hours a day, maybe more. Are you willing to do that? Sophia thought about it. 4 hours of practice every day, on top of school and her other lessons. It would be exhausting. She would have no time for anything else. No time to rest or play or just be a normal 14-year-old girl. But this was her dream. This was what she wanted more than anything. Yes, sir. I am willing. Good, we start tomorrow. Do not be late. That night, Sophia could not sleep. She was excited and terrified at the same time. A real competition, against the best young pianists in Austria, and she would be playing one of the most difficult pieces ever written. Could she do it? She did not know. But she was going to try. The next 3 months were the hardest of Sophia's life. She practiced 4 hours every day, sometimes more. Her fingers developed calluses. Her back ached from sitting at the piano for so long. Her eyes hurt from reading music for hours. The Rachmaninoff concerto was brutally difficult. It required incredible technical skill. Fast runs up and down the keyboard, huge chords that her small hands could barely reach, complex rhythms that seemed impossible to master. There were days when Sophia cried from frustration, days when she thought she would never be able to play it, days when every note seemed wrong. But Maestro Müller pushed her relentlessly. He demanded perfection. He made her play the same passage 50 times until she got it right. He showed her no mercy. You think this is hard? He would say. Wait until you're on stage at the competition. Wait until there are judges watching, ready to criticize every mistake. Wait until your future depends on those 10 minutes of performance. That is when you will know what pressure really is. Miss Fisher was gentler, but no less demanding. She worked with Sophia on the emotional aspects of the piece. The Rachmaninoff concerto was not just technically difficult, it was also deeply emotional. It required the pianist to convey passion, sadness, joy, and triumph. You cannot just play the notes, Elena told her. You must feel them. The audience must believe that you are pouring your heart into this music. Anna worried about her daughter. Sophia was losing weight. She had no friends because she had no time for socializing. All she did was practice, sleep, eat, and practice more. Is it worth it? Anna asked one night. You are just a child. You should have time to play, to enjoy your youth. This is what I want, Mama, more than anything. I know it is hard, but I have to try. 2 weeks before the competition, disaster struck. Sophia was practicing when she felt a sharp pain in her right wrist. She tried to ignore it and keep playing, but the pain got worse. Soon she could barely move her fingers. Miss Fisher saw Sophia grimacing and made her stop. Let me see your wrist. Sophia held out her hand. The wrist was swollen and painful to touch. You have injured yourself. You have been practicing too much. Elena looked worried. You need to rest this. At least a week, maybe 2. But the competition is in 2 weeks. I cannot stop practicing now. If you do not rest, you could permanently damage your wrist. Then you will never play piano again. Sophia felt panic rising in her chest. She had worked so hard. 3 months of brutal practice. She was so close. And now this. The concert with the Vienna Symphony Orchestra was scheduled for 6 months after the competition. 6 months to prepare. 6 months to heal her injured wrist. 6 months for Sophia to prove she was not just a lucky beginner, but a real pianist. The first thing Sophia did was see a doctor about her wrist. Mrs. Zimmerman paid for the appointment. The doctor examined Sophia's wrist carefully and shook his head. You have damaged the tendons. You must stop playing piano for at least 2 months. Complete rest. If you continue to play, you risk permanent injury. Sophia felt like the world was ending. But I have to practice. I have a concert in 6 months. If you do not rest now, you will have no concert at all, because you will lose the ability to play. The doctor's voice was firm. 2 months of rest. Then we will see how it heals. Sophia cried when she left the doctor's office. Anna held her while she sobbed. What if it does not heal properly? What if I can never play again? Then we will face that when it happens. But right now, you must do what the doctor says. You must rest. Telling Maestro Müller was the hardest thing Sophia had ever done. She went to his studio and stood in front of him, barely able to speak. Sir, the doctor says I cannot play piano for 2 months. My wrist needs to heal. She waited for him to be angry. to tell her she had been foolish, to say he was disappointed in her, but instead the maestro just nodded. I expected as much. You pushed yourself too hard. That is admirable in some ways. But a musician must also be smart. You cannot make beautiful music if you destroy your body. I am sorry, sir. I know I should have rested when Miss Fisher told me to. Sorry does not heal your wrist. But time will. Use these 2 months to study music theory, to listen to great pianists, to rest and let your body recover. When you return, we will work on rebuilding your technique properly. Those 2 months were the longest of Sophia's life. She felt lost without the piano. Her hands itched to play. She dreamed about playing, but every time she looked at her bandaged wrist, she knew she had to wait. She spent her time listening to records of great pianists. She went to concerts and watched carefully, studying how the pianists moved, how they expressed emotion through their playing. She read books about music history and composition. Anna used some of the prize money to buy Sophia better clothes. For the first time in her life, Sophia had dresses that were not patched or mended. She had new shoes that actually fit properly. She had a warm coat for winter. Mrs. Zimmerman invited them to move from the servants' quarters into a small apartment in the city. It was not fancy, but it had 2 real bedrooms and a kitchen. Anna cried when she saw it. We have our own home, she whispered. After all these years, we finally have our own home. Sophia also continued going to school, though it was harder now. The other students knew about her piano playing. Some were impressed. Others were jealous. Some thought she was putting on airs, acting like she was better than everyone else. One day, a boy in her class laughed at her. You think you are so special because you can play piano, but you are still just a poor girl. Your mother is still a maid. Sophia felt her face burn with shame and anger. My mother is a maid because she works hard to take care of me. That is nothing to be ashamed of. Whatever. You still do not really belong with the rich people. You are just pretending. Sophia walked away before she said something she would regret, but the boy's words stuck with her. Was he right? Was she just pretending? The other students at the conservatory came from wealthy families. They wore expensive clothes. They talked about trips to Paris and Rome. Sophia had never been anywhere except Vienna. She talked to Miss Fisher about it during one of their theory lessons. I feel like I do not fit in anywhere. I'm not poor enough to fit in at my old school, but I am not rich enough to fit in at the conservatory. Where do I belong? Elena looked at her with kind eyes. You belong with music, Sophia. That is where you fit, not with rich people or poor people. With musicians. With people who understand what it means to love music more than anything else. Sophia tried to believe that, but it was hard. Finally, after 2 long months, the doctor examined her wrist again. He moved it carefully, watching Sophia's face for signs of pain. The swelling is gone. The tendons have healed. You can start playing again, but slowly. No more than 1 hour a day for the first week. Then gradually increase your practice time. Sophia wanted to kiss the doctor. She wanted to run straight to the conservatory and play for hours. But she forced herself to be patient. She would follow the doctor's orders exactly. She could not risk another injury. When she sat at the piano again for the first time in 2 months, Sophia felt like crying with joy. Her fingers touched the keys and it felt like coming home. She played scales slowly and carefully. Her wrist was stiff at first, but it did not hurt. She was so grateful to be playing again. Maestro Muller watched her carefully. How does it feel? Wonderful, sir. A little stiff, but no pain. Good. We will rebuild your technique from the ground up. Properly this time. No rushing. No pushing too hard. Slow and steady. For the next 4 months, Sophia worked harder than ever, but more carefully. She practiced her technique daily. She learned new pieces. She worked on the concerto she would perform with the symphony orchestra. But something had changed in those 2 months of rest. Sophia had thought deeply about her music, about why she played, about what she wanted to express. She was no longer just trying to play the notes correctly. She was trying to say something with her music. Maestro Muller noticed the change. One day after Sophia finished playing a Chopin nocturne, he said something that surprised her. That was beautiful. Truly beautiful. You are becoming a real musician, Sophia. It was the highest praise he had ever given her. Sophia felt tears of joy in her eyes. The weeks passed quickly. Soon it was time for the concert with the Vienna Symphony Orchestra. This would be the biggest performance of Sophia's life. The concert would be held at the Musikverein, in front of thousands of people. It would be reviewed by music critics from newspapers across Austria. Sophia was terrified. The night before the concert, she could not sleep. She lay in bed, going over the concerto in her mind. What if she made mistakes? What if she forgot the notes? What if everyone realized she was just a 15-year-old girl who had been playing piano for less than 2 years? Anna heard her daughter tossing and turning. "Sophia, you need to sleep." "I cannot, Mama, I am too nervous." Anna came and sat on the edge of Sophia's bed. "Let me tell you something. When you were born, I was terrified. I was young and alone and poor. I had no idea how I would take care of a baby. I thought I had ruined my life." Sophia had never heard her mother talk about this before. She listened quietly. "But then I looked at you and I knew everything would be okay. Because you were worth fighting for, worth working for, worth any struggle." Anna took Sophia's hand. "You have that same strength in you, that same determination. Tomorrow, when you walk onto that stage, remember that you have already overcome so much. This is just one more challenge, and you will meet it, just like you have met all the others." Sophia hugged her mother. "Thank you, Mama. I love you." "I love you too, my brave girl. Now sleep. Tomorrow is a big day." Sophia finally fell asleep, her mother's words echoing in her mind. The day of the concert arrived. Sophia woke up feeling strangely calm. The nervousness was still there, but it was mixed with excitement. She was ready. She had worked so hard for this moment. Mrs. Zimmerman had bought Sophia a beautiful dress for the concert. It was white with delicate lace, elegant and simple. When Sophia put it on, she barely recognized herself in the mirror. She looked like a real pianist. Not the maid's daughter. Not the poor girl in patched clothes. A musician. Anna could not stop crying when she saw her daughter. "You look like an angel." At the music verein, Sophia waited backstage while the orchestra played the first half of the concert. She could hear the music through the walls. The orchestra was magnificent, full of skilled professional musicians. Soon she would be playing with them. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. The conductor came backstage during intermission to meet Sophia. His name was Herr Director Friedrich. He was a large man with a gray beard and kind eyes. "So you are the young pianist everyone is talking about. I heard you won the youth competition." "Very impressive, thank you, sir." "Are you nervous?" "Very nervous, sir." He smiled. "Good. That means you care about the music. Just remember, the orchestra is here to support you. We will follow your lead. Trust yourself." Finally, it was time. The second half of the concert was beginning. Sophia's performance would be last. She waited in the wings, listening to the orchestra play. Her hands were sweating. Her heart was pounding. But underneath the nervousness, she felt something else. Determination. She had come so far. She had worked so hard. She was not going to let fear stop her now. The orchestra finished their piece. The audience applauded. Then the announcer's voice came over the speakers. "And now, for our final piece, please welcome Sofia Kovacs, who will perform Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 3 with the Vienna Symphony Orchestra." This was it. Sophia walked onto the stage. The lights were blinding. The audience was enormous, thousands of people filling every seat. Sophia could not see individual faces. It was just a sea of people. She walked to the piano and sat down. But Sophia pushed through all of them, looking for her mother. She found Anna waiting near the stage door. They hugged each other, both crying and laughing at the same time. "You were magnificent," Anna said. "I am so proud of you." "So very proud." Mrs. Zimmerman joined them, also crying. "Sophia, that was extraordinary. I knew you had talent when I first heard you play in my music room. But this was beyond anything I imagined." Miss Fisher was there too. "Sophia, you have surpassed all my expectations. You have become a true artist." But Sophia kept looking around, searching for someone. Finally, she saw him. Maestro Müller was walking slowly toward her, leaning on his cane. The crowd parted for him automatically, showing him respect. He stopped in front of Sophia. For a long moment, he just looked at her. Sophia held her breath, waiting. Then, for the first time since Sophia had met him, Maestro Müller smiled. A real smile, warm and genuine. "You did well, child. Very well indeed." Coming from him, those simple words meant everything. Sophia felt like her heart might burst with joy. "Thank you, sir. For everything. For believing in me. For teaching me. For pushing me to be better. I only showed you the path. You were the one who walked it." You worked harder than any student I have ever taught. You deserve this success." He paused, looking thoughtful. "I have something to tell you. I've been teaching piano for 50 years. I have taught hundreds of students. Some became famous. Some faded away. But you, Sofia Kovacs, are special. You have something that cannot be taught, a gift, a connection to music that is rare and precious." He looked around at the people gathered. Then he spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I am an old man. I have been thinking about retirement for years. But I kept teaching because I was waiting for one more student. One more chance to shape a true talent. Today I realize that you are that student. You are my final masterpiece." Sofia could not speak. She could not even breathe. Did he just say what she thought he said? "I have one more thing to give you before I retire," the maestro continued. "A final lesson. The most important lesson I can teach." He looked directly into Sofia's eyes. "You have proven that you can master technique. You have proven that you can overcome obstacles. You have proven that you work harder than anyone. But now you must prove something else. You must prove that you can share your gift with the world without losing yourself." "I do not understand, sir." "Fame will come for you now. Sofia, after tonight's performance, everyone will want to hear you play. You will receive offers for concerts, for recordings, for tours. The world will want a piece of you. And the danger is that you will give them so much that there is nothing left for yourself, nothing left for the music." He put a hand on her shoulder. "Remember why you play. Not for the applause. Not for the money. Not for the fame. You play because you love music. Because it speaks something inside you that words cannot express. Hold on to that. Never let anyone take that away from you." Sofia nodded, tears flowing freely now. "I will remember, sir. I promise." "Good." He stepped back. "Now I am old and tired. I am going home. But know this, Sofia Kovacs. You have made me proud. Prouder than any student has made me in all my years of teaching. Not because you played the notes correctly, but because you played with your whole heart." With that, Maestro Miller turned and walked away, leaning on his cane. Sofia watched him go, knowing that something important had just ended. And something new was beginning. The next morning, newspapers across Vienna ran reviews of the concert. Sofia and Anna bought every paper they could find and read the reviews together. A stunning debut, extraordinary talent, mature beyond her years, the most promising young pianist in a generation. The reviews were glowing. Every critic praised Sofia's performance. Some mentioned her unusual background, the fact that she had only been playing for less than 2 years. That made her accomplishment seem even more remarkable. But not all the attention was positive. Some people were skeptical. They said it was impossible for someone to become so skilled in such a short time. They suggested that Maestro Miller had exaggerated her story to create publicity. Some said she was a fraud. Sofia tried not to let the criticism hurt her. But it did. She had worked so hard. She had sacrificed so much. And still some people thought she did not deserve her success. Miss Fisher saw Sofia reading a particularly harsh article and took it away from her. "Do not read that garbage. Critics like this are bitter people who never achieved their own dreams. They try to tear down others to make themselves feel better. But what if they are right? What if I do not deserve this?" "Sofia, look at me." Elena took Sofia's hands. "You have practiced harder than anyone I know. You have overcome poverty, injury, and doubt. You earned every bit of your success. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise." Over the next few weeks, Sofia received many offers. Concert halls wanted her to perform. Music schools wanted her to study with them. Even a record company offered to record an album with her. It was overwhelming. Sofia was only 15 years old. She did not know how to handle all this attention. She felt lost. She went to talk to Maestro Miller. She found him in his studio at the conservatory, as always. "Sir, I do not know what to do. Everyone wants something from me. Everyone has opinions about my future. I feel like I am being pulled in 100 directions." The maestro looked at her with those sharp, intelligent eyes. "What do you want, Sofia? Not what your mother wants. Not what Mrs. Zimmerman wants. Not what I want. What do you want?" Sofia thought about it. What did she want? Really want? "I want to keep learning. I want to get better. I want to play more music, learn more pieces. I am not ready to tour the world yet. I am still a student." "Then that is what you should do. Turn down the tour offers. Focus on your education. You have your whole life ahead of you. There is no need to rush." But everyone says I should take advantage of this opportunity, that if I do not strike while people are interested, I might lose my chance. If your talent is real, it will still be there in 5 years. In 10 years, true greatness does not disappear. It only grows stronger with time and study. Sophia felt relief washing over her. She did not have to accept all those offers. She could just keep learning. Keep growing. Keep becoming better. 5 years passed. Sophia continued to study, to practice, to perform occasionally. She grew from a talented girl into a mature artist. She played concerts across Europe, but selectively, choosing only the performances that meant something to her. Maestro Miller retired from teaching after Sophia. She was, as he said, his final student. But he continued to meet with Sophia occasionally, to give her advice, to listen to her play. Anna stopped working as a maid. With the money Sophia earned from performances, they could afford a comfortable life. Anna finally got to rest after years of hard labor. She spent her time going to Sophia's concerts, proud and happy. Mrs. Zimmerman remained a friend and supporter. She told everyone that she had discovered Sophia, which was true. Without her kindness, Sophia would never have had the chance to learn piano. Miss Fisher continued to teach, and sometimes she and Sophia would meet for coffee and talk about music and life. On Sophia's 20th birthday, she gave a special concert at the Musikverein. The hall was completely sold out. Among the audience were all the people who had helped her along the way. Her mother in the front row, Mrs. Zimmerman sitting next to her, Miss Fisher beaming with pride. And in the back row, one last time, sat Maestro Muller. He was 77 now, frail and weak, but he had insisted on coming to hear his final student play. Sophia performed that night like never before. She played pieces by Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin, and Rachmaninoff. She played with technical brilliance and deep emotion. She played like someone who had found her voice and was not afraid to use it. When the concert ended, the audience gave her a standing ovation that lasted for 10 minutes. Sophia took her bows, her heart full of gratitude. After the concert, she went to find Maestro Miller. He was standing slowly from his seat, preparing to leave. "Sir, thank you for coming. I would not have missed it. You have become everything I hoped you would be, a true artist. I owe it all to you." "No," he said firmly. "You owe it to yourself. I merely gave you some tools. You built the house." He took her hand in his old, wrinkled hand. "Remember what I told you 5 years ago. Never lose sight of why you play. The music is what matters. Everything else is just noise." "I will remember, sir, always." Maestro Muller smiled one last time. "Good, now I'm old and tired. I am going home." He walked away slowly, and Sophia knew somehow that this was goodbye, that she would not see her teacher again. 3 months later, Maestro Heinrich Müller passed away peacefully in his sleep. All of Vienna mourned the loss of its greatest piano teacher. At his funeral, Sophia played. She chose a piece he had taught her years ago. A sonata by Beethoven. She played it perfectly, with all the emotion and understanding he had worked so hard to teach her. After the funeral, she discovered that the maestro had left her something in his will. His personal piano, the one he had played when he was young and touring the world as a famous pianist. With the piano came a letter. Sophia opened it with shaking hands. "Dear Sophia," the letter read, "if you are reading this, I have finally rested. I am glad. I was tired.